All right, y'all, let's test the waters and see how this goes. Now today, this film is how to clean a bison skull, and the first rule is to remove all the hide. I've got two bison that are gonna appear in this film. Essentially, the one that Bud harvested recently, if you guys have seen that film, is the one we're gonna focus on. This particular one had the hide on it, so I'm showing the skinning process here. I'm also keeping a big chunk of this hide, and that's why I'm fleshing it nice and tight. Now, Uncle Bud shot a great big giant bison down there in Nebraska. It came home skinned, so I dropped it in a bucket of water and hydrated it for a few days. This next scene is showing you how to remove all the meat and tissue off a hydrated, very fleshy looking great big bison. My plan with what you're seeing right here, right now, was just to prep this skull until I had enough time to actually clean it. So I'm gonna pop out the auditory bowl, the ear butts, if you will. Then I'm gonna take a 1-inch wafer bit and wallow a hole right there where all that loose bone is. Then I'm gonna stick the power washer down the brain hole, and then I'm gonna scramble his brains. I'm gonna make this beautiful strawberry milkshake and get all that out. What that does is it allows me to soak this skull as long as I want with no stink. That soft brain tissue is where all that sour funk comes from. So if you get it out of there, you can literally just set this in a tank of water and let it just soak until you're ready to deal with it. Now, fast forward 3 days, it's been soaking, it's all that fleshy white, it's exactly how I want it to look. I'm gonna go with all new fresh water. I'm gonna put the skull down in there, and then I'm gonna weight it to keep it from floating. I'm gonna start a big fire underneath, bring it to a boil, and then try and smack those horns off. That's gonna take about an hour. Next step here, I'm gonna cut off about 1/3 of the horn core. This allows me to kind of wash inside, get everything nice and clean, and then I'm gonna take a power washer and I'm gonna spray into every hole and every orifice on this skull. Anywhere there's meat or tissue, I'm gonna try and make it go away. Y'all, right in the middle of me washing, Bud said, hey, you got a delivery. And I had my Pecos table come in. Now, I found this table at the sheep show, and I instantly fell in love. Anybody that knows me knows that I am a sucker for high-end, high-quality gear of any kind. The short of it is, I bought this table, ordered it to the house, and I couldn't wait to show it to you guys. They don't know I'm doing this. I'm not being paid. This is just a kick-butt table, and you all should own one. Seriously. So I put it all together. I'll show you later on this film everything that this table has to offer, but let's get that bison skull back up on top there, and let's wash it eye level. Thank you, Pecos. This thing is double tough. All right, next step, I've changed my water, filled it up above the skull, and then I'm gonna add 2 gallons of aqua silk. I buy this from a Leslie's pool supply. I bring that to a boil, and then I'm gonna power wash off everything I missed. Now, this product will whiten and degrease. So why it's doing that, it's turning everything that I missed on the skull to like a plaquey yellow gel. Don't confuse this in any way. You will spray and spray and spray on a giant bison for hours on end. Nothing about this task is easy, but it is totally worth it. Once it's as clean as I can get it, I drop it back down in that hot water. I cut off the heat, and I'm gonna let it soak for 2 full days in that Whitebone color batch, which is the 2 gallons of aqua silk and water. I'm just gonna leave it. I want it to leach out oil and brighten that skull. So this is gonna seem like a lot of layers, but this is 48 hours of cold soak in the peroxide mix. I pull that skull out, I rinse it real good, I add a little dish soap into my Whitebone mix, that pot that you just looked at. I scoop out all the excess grease that was on top. I bring that to a boil or get it hot, give that skull one good shock in that color one more time, rinse it good, and then set it in the sun to dry. While that skull is drying, I spend a tremendous amount of time actually cleaning. I do this at my house in the courtyard area, so I use a lot of soaps, a lot of detergent. You would never know this is happening in my front yard if you weren't standing there when I was doing it. Everything stays nice and tight and clean. I get the question constantly, does it always stink? What do your neighbors think? My neighbors know I do it. They do not mind it. Some of them actually like the smell. It smells like cooked meat. And then it smells like we're doing laundry. So no complaints there, but I think a clean work environment will really help the process in everything you do. All right, don't forget to wash in and out of those horns. Set them somewhere they can dry, and then we'll sort out everything here in a minute. Now, as promised, check this Pecos table out. It's got aircraft grade aluminum components. These legs lock together like instant and crazy tight. They have these bitchin' little adjustable feet. It's got an FDA approved cutting surface. You can literally put the thing together in seconds. It's crazy sturdy, perfect for a lunch area, a portable shooting station, a workbench, you know, pretty much anything you would ever use a table for, but way cooler. It all folds up back into itself. You can throw it in the back of your little car, your big truck, or just about anywhere. I honestly think this is the coolest product we've seen in a really long time. Oh yeah, and this thing's made right here in the USA. Thanks, Pecos. Once your Bison skull is dry, I put on a coat of Mop and Glow, all over the outside of the horn and all over the outside of the skull. Once that's dry, I'm going to set a hanger inside. Essentially, this is a threaded eye bolt that I just jam nut in place. And then I'm going to dry fit the horns. I want you to look right here and see how there's grooves and lands and all that stuff there. Those horns will only go on one way. Years ago, somebody made a comment, "Oh, you put the horns on wrong." It's physically impossible. They'll slide right on in their natural position. Oh yeah, and I am leaving these loose just in case Bud's gonna have this mounted. He can use the originals here, whatever. I'm just leaving them loose because they'll sit on the wall perfectly natural with no adhesive. Another beautiful Bison. These projects are way tough, but they're so beautiful when they're done. It's hard to beat with that heavy contrast of dark on the bright white, and they really do clean up bitchin' and beautiful. Don't be afraid to try it. Hopefully this video helps. Until next time, I guess I'm still wearing my gloves. Be kind to one another.